The cost of living here in Utah in 2023 has changed dramatically. I first made a video like this back in 2019 talking about how much it costs to live here. We talked about utilities, we talked about rent, we talked about groceries, we talked about buying a house, we talked about so many different things as pertains to, the cost of living here in Utah, and a lot of those things have changed over the last couple of years. I'd say maybe the last year or so, we've seen incredibly high amounts of inflation. Home prices are at all-time highs, car prices are all-time highs, groceries, utilities. It seems like everything is at an all-time high right now. We are seeing, we're kind of in the middle of this transition point where we are seeing those prices start to kind of come back down. But I do want to talk about what it's like to actually live here and what you can expect for the cost of things if you do decide to make a move here to Utah in 2023. As we jump into that, guys, real quick, my name's Cody Steck. I want to be your trusted real estate resource when it comes to buying or selling real estate here in Utah. I talk about everything you need to know when it comes to working, eating, sleeping, living, and playing here in Utah, but especially with the real estate market, I provide weekly updates, usually doing about 2 videos per week, just talking about what it's like to live here. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and also make sure to reach out to me if you're thinking about making a move here, or if you already live in the area. Of course, I'd love to help you with that as well, whether you want to buy or sell real estate, maybe invest, or maybe even build a new home. I've helped hundreds of people and I cannot wait to hear from you as well. So reach out to me. My information is here on the screen. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in my screen here and take a look at some of the statistics as far as what's going on here in Utah. Okay, so this is actually a really cool website that I found recently. I did not have this a couple years ago, but this is something that I think is really pretty accurate and really cool. So this is Numbeo. This is the name of the website, and they're basically comparing cost of living. So you can come in here and type in, hey, what's the cost of living in Salt Lake City? And then you can compare this to your particular city, right? So we'll do that here in just a second, but I want to go through this list and actually take a look at, restaurants, right? We're going to look at restaurants, markets, transportation, utilities, and I've kind of highlighted some of these things just as talking points, right? So you're going to have your meals, right? You're going to have a meal at an inexpensive restaurant. It's gonna be roughly $17. I think that's probably pretty accurate, right? You go to that's probably going to be mostly fast food places. I'd say most places are probably pushing a little bit higher than that, at least for 2 people, right? This is going to be, I don't know, it doesn't specifically say right here, because right here it says meal for 2 people, mid-range restaurant, 3 course, about $67.50. That seems pretty reasonable. That's about what I would spend if I was out on a date night with my wife. For an inexpensive restaurant, $17. Yeah, that's about right. If you get a drink or, you get a dessert or something for 1 person, that sounds pretty close. If you go to McDonald's or an equivalent combo meal, yeah, $8.50. That's probably maybe a little bit on the low end. I'd say you're probably closer to at least $9 or $10 now with how things have gone. And then I want to talk about, Coke and Pepsi and a water, right? So your water is about $2 and Coke and Pepsi is about $2.22. I'm actually seeing numbers that are way higher than this. Usually $2.50 for water and $3 for Coke and Pepsi. It's kind of crazy. But unfortunately, those are the prices that we're seeing right now. As far as the markets go, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but I do want to point out, that these numbers are pretty accurate. I did read through these and I thought, yeah, that's about what we'd spend on something that's equivalent. Coming down to transportation, they talk about one-way tickets for local transport, talk about monthly pass if you went with a bus line or the light rail, $85 a month. That's about right. That's what you'd expect to pay. Taxis, of course, I think probably everybody uses Ubers now, so I don't know how accurate that is because it really depends on where you're going. Gas at $4 a gallon. We are slightly lower than that right now. As of right now, we're sitting at roughly $3.55, I think, for the basic, and then probably about $3.90 for premium. So we're actually a little bit lower on gasoline here on this one. We're going to skip the car references here. Utilities, so basic, electricity, heating, cooling, water, and garbage for a 915 square foot apartment, $117. That sounds about right. I don't know, that maybe is a little bit low, but again, considering this is a 915 square foot apartment, that's probably pretty accurate for utilities there, right? I think for most single family homes, if you own, let's say a 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square foot home, you're going to be paying at least somewhere between $200 to $400 per month for all of your utilities on a home like that. So I think that number is a little bit low, but if we adjust it for the size of the place, I do think it's actually pretty accurate. Coming over here, internet, 60 megabytes or more, unlimited data is about $60. That's pretty accurate, right? That's not going to get you the fastest plan, but it's going to be pretty decent. They do have plans out there that are $80 or $100 a month that are going to be much better if you work from home or you need that fast internet. it might be worth the investment there. Next up, we have sports and leisure, right? So a fitness club and a monthly fee at a fitness club is going to cost you roughly $35. That's pretty close. Of course, there's going to be places that are like $10. You can go to Gold's Gym or Vasa. That's like $10 a month. Or you have, gyms that are on the high end, like Lifetime. They're going to be pushing, $100, maybe $150, $200 a month, depending on what services you get and if you have kids care or anything like that. So it can get pretty expensive, but I think that's probably pretty typical for most people for what you're seeing in your market. Next up, we have childcare. So preschool or kindergarten, full day, private, monthly for one child, about $805. That seems pretty accurate. I've actually seen a little bit higher than this, but it does depend on where you go and where you're taking your kids. But yeah, roughly $800 for a full day, private, monthly for one child. That seems about right. I'd maybe plan on $1,000 if that's something that's important to you. That's roughly what you're going to be looking at. Okay, so moving on further down the list, we're going to take a look at the rent per month, and then we'll jump into looking at actual housing, because I think that's something that a lot of people have questions about is they want to know how much it actually costs to live here. Whether you're looking at renting or looking at buying, we're going to cover that information right now. So an apartment, one bedroom in the city center is about $1,600. That's probably pretty close. There's going to be one bedrooms that are more expensive than that. That might be a little bit on the high side. I would say, for something in the city center, if you're downtown Salt Lake, yeah, you're probably about $1,600, maybe a little bit less. But if you're like in a city center, like such as Sandy or Draper or something like that, you could be a little bit less or maybe about the same as well. It really just depends on how nice of an area you're in. If you're in, a less nice area, then it's going to be a little bit cheaper for one bedroom. But, the average, about $1,600 a month seems pretty reasonable. If you're outside the city center, they're saying it's about $1,300. Yeah, if you're in some of the, less nice parts of town, $1,300 seems pretty reasonable for a one bedroom. Now, when it comes to apartments, 3 bedrooms in the city center is going to be about $2,800. An apartment for 3 bedrooms outside of the center is about $2,100. I think both of these numbers are actually pretty high. I haven't seen anything come up that high for an apartment, right? I don't follow apartment prices, but just knowing from my own rental properties what a 3-bedroom place rents for, I don't have anything that's even close to that, right? I've got some 3-bedroom places that are, really remodeled from top to bottom, and even at today's rents, we're only getting about $1,700, $1,800 per month for a 3-bedroom. This is saying you'd be at $2,100. Maybe if you're in a really nice part of town, yes, but not all areas will be that high. So it can range, somewhere. This is a good range right here, $1,800 to $2,500, just depending on the area that you're in. Okay, so jumping into some of the sales data, I want to actually pull up this report and talk about what's happening in the northern Utah real estate market when it comes to buying or selling real estate. So this report right here is a broad report. You can see that back here in May, I know they don't have the headers on these columns, unfortunately, but back here in May, this column right here is the official sales price, right? So that was the final sales price for these properties. You can see that back here, January, February, March, April, May of 2022, we were pulling in, 100%, maybe even 103% of the listing price for the actual sales price, right? So this is the median listing price. This is the sales price that happened here. So people were offering above what the home was being listed for in order to get the home, right? So in order to get an accepted offer. Back in June, we actually saw this start to switch. We saw $611,000 on the median listing price with a median sales price of $606, and it's continued to fall since then. So we have kind of flattened out over these past, couple months, just a little bit here from September, October, November, December. We have seen it flatten out just a little bit, 563, 564, 554, and 555. So this is a medium-based home. This is going to be, not quite your entry-level home, but kind of a move-up home, or just a, let's say a stretch entry-level home, if you will. You're going to be about in that $500,000 to $600,000 range. If you go up to $700,000, $800,000, you're going to get a really nice home. And then, of course, if you go up to $1 million plus, you're going to get a big home or a big property or something that's in a very, very desirable area. So that's kind of how the pricing works here. You can see that so far over the past couple months, prices have kind of flattened out. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I think that we might see prices come down another 5 to 10% throughout the year of 2023, but I don't expect to see anything more than, let's say, 12 to 15% unless interest rates just go absolutely crazy and we start to see those interest rates climb up to 8, 9, 10%, right? So that being said, that's kind of what's happening in the market, and I wanted to share that information with you so you can kind of get an idea of the cost of living here in Utah. So with that being said, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're thinking about making that move here, reach out to me. My information's here on the screen. Don't forget to do that. I've helped hundreds of people make a move here, and I cannot wait to hear from you as well. And don't forget to share this video with a friend or a family member. Maybe it's your spouse, mom and dad, somebody who might be interested in this content as well. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.